All right, everyone, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case over on Rumble, of course. Unpause and repause as normal. We have to talk about the UMCA today. The USMCA, rather. The trade deal that Trump created as a replacement, sort of a mild reform of NAFTA. Now he's threatening to withdraw from that particular deal, which involves also Canada and Mexico. I have mixed feelings with regards to this story because if the allegation is true and Canada and Mexico are really ignoring elements of the deal, that's a problem. I don't know that scrapping the entire thing is necessarily the right step forward, but we can get into that a little bit more. And of course, NAFTA was, a hot mess, and CAFTA was as well. That was replaced more quietly. But Trump himself was the arbiter of that deal. So, I mean, he must be pissed if he's willing to potentially withdraw. I have a feeling it's more talk than action, but we're going to wait and see. We've also got some updates with regards to the pipe bomber, with regards to that particular story with Brian Cole Jr. We're getting mixed messages with regards to potentially what the motive would be, or even if guilt is even involved here. His grandmother vouching for him and saying, oh no, he's just a shy kid, he wouldn't do anything wrong, and has no clue what the fuck is going on, actually. This is possible. This might actually not be the perp that conducted this particular attempted attack at all. We're still not sure of this. Everything is still up in the air. But I'll give whatever updates that I can glean because it's still an important story. Especially after the Biden administration apparently was sitting on a stack of evidence for 4 years and didn't do anything about it. That's a little bit odd. I'm just saying, again, everything that I'm gleaning from this story gets more and more suspect over time. Hell, the suspect is less suspect than the suspicion at this point, you could say. President Trump is a champion in the fight for Venezuelan freedom. This is an opinion piece. I have massive reservations with regards to this. I'll try to drag in historical precedent, by the way. And then, of course, this article about trusting the experts. Why? That's a bad idea. No shit, Sherlock. It's a no-brainer article, but we'll still cover it anyway. Very, very interesting. Yes, Mystery Train. That's the other claim that Brian Cole was a MAGA fan. We're not exactly sure whether that's true or not. We're also not sure that he's the perp. There seems to be some confusion because at least 2 other individuals have been identified, including the female police officer, the DC cop there, as possibly being involved. It could have also been multiple people. It's not beyond the realm of possibility. I would think if someone is planting pipe bombs outside of, these buildings in D.C., knowing that there's going to be a march of possibly tens of thousands of people, it could have been designed to splatter some of those people. So I still suspect that we're not getting the full story. We're probably not getting it from anyone. If you think that I trust Kash Patel, for example, you must be smoking something better than I was. Occult Priestess is here. Hello, hello. Cat scratch. Drunk raccoons for Trump. Yeah, I saw that. That was hysterical. Raccoon breaks into a liquor store, proceeds to inebriate itself, and passes out on the floor. Can you imagine running a business and something like that happens and how fucking funny it would be? Musically assured destruction. Who's to say he wasn't set up by the cops? That's the other thing. Assuming that this individual, as his grandma is now claiming, is fairly autistic and almost nonverbal, that would be a perfect fall guy now, wouldn't it? Somebody who will get frightened and squeal to the police the second that they're queried, so that you can get evidence and you can just simply hoist them on, the wall, so to speak. It's possible. I mean, it's happened before. Liberals won't admit to it, especially if he happened to buy a MAGA hat at some point or something like that. They won't admit to it. Meanwhile, they will talk a big game about, planting crack and stuff like that. Supposedly, law enforcement is legendarily corrupt, but not when they're going after somebody for political reasons that they would agree with. then they no longer acknowledge it. It's very, very telling, by the way. Yeah, raccoon made it to the bathroom. Yeah, the raccoon guzzled liquor and made it as far as the bathroom before passing out. It's like splayed out like a sleepy cat. It was pretty funny. King of Biltong is here! Oh my god! That means we have a responsibility. Hello, Anton. We must eat both right so that he can say salty. By the way, Salty Reese's Cup is here too. Yum, 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 yum. Yeah, Anton's got the good shit. I'm gonna make soup at some point soon. I'm gonna put some of that in it. So yeah, as far as the, well, we'll cover that story first, I suppose, since we've already been talking about it. Then we'll get to the USMCA. But the pipe bomber suspect made stunning pro-Trump confession to feds. Again, we don't know what was said. We don't know if the statement was actually made at all. A lot of this is, it's part of an ongoing investigation, so it's not necessarily being fully made publicly available. So we're not exactly sure what is happening with this particular case. We know that there were pipe bombs that thankfully didn't explode, but we're not exactly sure which person put them there. This is just one of the proffered explanations, basically, this particular case with these allegations, because the individual in the the video and the photos is completely concealed, so it's a little bit more difficult to identify people. Thankfully for the liberals, wearing masks was highly popular at the time, so lots of people got away with crimes they shouldn't have gotten away with. Copium Poppies, hello, clank. I can't say that word on a YouTube live stream, and you know it. I can say retard, though. That's still allowed. You can't call a retarded person retarded, but, other than that, it's perfectly acceptable under the TOS. By the way, retarded retards retardation is technically a grammatically correct sentence. I noted this some time ago because, I'm a little bit verbally autistic myself. I just don't plant pipe bombs outside of federal buildings, like this individual allegedly did. And we're not sure about pretty much anything else, other than his grandma says she never knew him to be violent or even particularly political or anything like that. So, I don't know. They might have the wrong person. Freebird, play some Skinnerd, man. I like that. Mike Judge, by the way, Inbred Jed. OC Pud, great show. I've been catching up on all your content. Awesome stuff. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much. Doomsday Machine just closed on a house today. I won't be super chatting for a while. Before I go, a quick $5 and a God bless. Thank you very much and congratulations. Cunt. Styx is a racist. Interesting. Supposedly I am. Copium Puppies, you can't call retards retards? Does this apply to Tim Walz? No, it doesn't. It doesn't apply to Tim Walz. Even the liberals call him that sometimes because he was such a spectacular failure as a potential running mate. Yeah, when you upstage Kamala Harris in the derpiness department, that's probably not a good thing. Crispy209. How's he a racist? He's more Native American than Elizabeth Warren. Well, to be fair, that would be literally everyone that's watching the live stream right now, so that's not saying much. The bar is fairly low on that one. Copium Poppies, but he's retarded. Yeah, he's just a derp out. I don't know how he even managed to get into politics in the first place, considering the way that he acts, but somehow he found a way. Sigil Stone. So we got Christmas Miracle this year. Simp Neelix is back on Twitter. I don't know who that is, but cool. Anytime that somebody, gets unbanned or something, it's always a good day. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yes. This is the USMCA is a trade deal that the United States minted under Trump's first term as a replacement for NAFTA. Because NAFTA really didn't make a whole lot of sense. It was basically the United States hemorrhaging jobs to Mexico more than anything else, and hemorrhaging resources to Canada. To make it less lopsided, the USMCA was created. And it has worked relatively well. The economy right now is probably only stable because of some of the things that Trump did in his first term. If Hillary Clinton had been elected and then you had, like, for instance, the COVID lockdowns, we'd be in a depression right now. So we dodged a bullet and then we dodged another one with Kamala to suffer through, Sleepy Joe for a while. But other than that, generally speaking, it's been okay times. And Trump is attempting to renegotiate all of these deals. Now Trump is saying, well, Canada and Mexico aren't really living up to their end of expectations. Why should we be part of this particular trade pact? I'm amenable to the basic premise. I'm just not sure that leaving it entirely instead of simply pressuring is a good idea. Thankfully, I have a feeling that Trump is doing that. I don't think that it's imminent that the United States is actually going to scrap the trade deal, which then you have to rewrite later anyway. You have to make a new one, I suppose. I don't think that that's going to happen. I think that basically it's just a threat. It's to get the leaders of Canada and Mexico to the table and say, look, you got to do your part. And I think that it's a fairly minor issue ultimately, though it could escalate into a major issue. One problem is that the authorities, the people that are running Canada and Mexico, are mostly communists. So that could be a little bit of a problem because negotiating with the far left is much more difficult because they want to have at least 90% of what they want and then they'll give you breadcrumbs. They do this to the poor all the time economically, by the way, as well. There's a reason for this. It's a bizarre habit, a tendency. So renegotiating would probably be more difficult than simply calling them in and attempting to negotiate now and maintaining the USMCA, because it would be odd if Trump scrapped membership in a trade deal that he himself had brokered. That's why I think this is a hollow threat. It's basically just to intimidate the leadership of Mexico and Canada and say, look, our economy is a lot bigger. We're buying all sorts of shit from you. We're also exporting all sorts of shit to you. We've got a fairly good trade relationship. Why don't we just keep it going? My hope is that this is Trump's way of making a hard bargain, like a big ask sort of thing. He's written about this in Art of the Deal, for example. You make the big ask, people come to the table, and then negotiations happen. I believe that's probably what's happening here, which is the good news. Copium poppies. We should take Canada and Mexico and break them up into a series of U.S. colonies. Manifest destiny. Yeah, I mean, if you combined all three countries, it would have the largest land area in the world, and it would control almost entirely the entire North American continent. That would be cool. It'd be cool to be able to travel visa-free to areas in Mexico. I would very much like that, actually. You said you can't call retards retarded, yet it's okay to call Tim Walz retarded when he is retarded. But that's because it's Tim Walz. He's a unique individual. Just because you're different doesn't mean that you're useful. In Tim Walz's case, that is definitely applicable. Ro Aaron, unban Owen Benjamin. Well, he's not banned from this channel. I think you mean like from Twitter or something like that. Did he get banned from YouTube? I'm not 100% sure. Have seen some of his content, not lately, but maybe that's because he got banned. I don't know. Cunt. Fauci gave Sticks AIDS. Yeah, he was very fond of giving people AIDS back in the day by misleading them for medical purposes. And did the same thing with COVID. Hey guys, it's, as long as you don't stand too close to each other, you won't get sick. By the way, inject this experimental serum into your veins. That's a great idea, right? Copium. Then we can take Greenland and Central and South America. The American continents rightfully belong to us. Yes, but keep in mind the Monroe Doctrine was about maintaining the sovereignty of the nations in the hemisphere, specifically to guard against colonialism from Europe, where there was limited influence by that time. You have, of course, some British and French and Dutch actually influence in parts of South America and the Caribbean, but not a whole lot. And that's because the Monroe Doctrine basically said, well, fuck you up if you try. So they didn't try. The handful of small colonies that they retained over time, they still generally have. Although, I mean, they're semi-sovereign, we'll put it that way. CP Semple, Owen is still on BitChute, I think. Yes, I do believe so. Tim Wiles, yeah. Yeah, he's like, I can't really think of a goofier person other than, well, I guess, what's his name? Former Ohio governor there, Kasich. He was a goofy dude, mainly because he would give conferences with the legacy media. He'd be sitting there, scarfing down a sandwich. Mr. Kasich, what do you think about the inflation rate? You should try the turkey. Yeah, that's basically he held his conferences. Otherwise, if he hadn't been so derpy, he would have been taken seriously enough to actually have been a contender. Instead, he gets outclassed by a dude, perhaps best known for Atlantic City and The Apprentice and stuff like that. So, yeah. That was a very, very weird campaign. They keep getting weirder. Copium poppies. Fact. Fauci killed Freddie Mercury. Technically speaking, that's a salient point, actually. Because of the botched response to AIDS under, in part, Fauci, millions and millions of people were infected needlessly because they weren't being given proper medical guidance. This sounds familiar. When else did this happen? Oh, that's right, it's with COVID. And it's not a funny issue either. There were kids that died. Probably experiments being done. Blitzo. So, patriotic shipping beef? Stolas. Precisely. Ha ha ha. Hell of a boss. I wonder when the next episode is going to come out. I no longer even actively check because, it's gone to Amazon first and then supposedly gets reloaded onto YouTube, so all you have are the shorts. Has Been Hotel, same thing, so I don't know. I like both series. I like Hell of a Boss better, though. I think it's being neglected. Here's a New York Post article, and this is something where you understand the premise. You understand the meaning behind it, but you can't agree with the carry-through. So it's like the idea is good, but the ability to achieve that ideal is distant. President Trump is a champion in the fight for Venezuelan freedom. This article basically is insinuating the need for regime change in Venezuela. The concept is that it would be justified to oust the Maduro regime because the mass migration of Venezuelans already happened. Millions of people fled the country when the Chavistas came into power. This is fundamentally correct. Here's the problem. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. Look at Libya, for example. Was Gaddafi a good person? No, he was a brutal, tyrannical dictator. His son had a literal rape dungeon, among other things. He was not a good person. But did Libya improve when he was gone? No, it's fallen apart. It doesn't have a human development index anymore. It's under the control now of a number of tyrants, warlords, none of which you can conduct diplomacy with because they're absolutely bitter and evil. It was better under Gaddafi for the people of Libya. It was more stable, had greater economic output by far. Now the main export is slaves. So I don't think that the Hillary Clinton regime change there worked very well. Look at Syria. Syria was under the thumb of Bashar al-Assad. Bashar al-Assad was an authoritarian, not fully dictatorial, but an authoritarian figure. Not necessarily the nicest guy in the room. Is it better with Assad gone and an al-Qaeda leader leading the country? No. Unfortunately, in the end, al-Qaeda ended up taking over Syria. Now you have to conduct diplomacy with the former head of al-Qaeda. Afghanistan. Well, we want vengeance. We got to get Osama. I mean, he was in Pakistan at the time anyway by then, but, again, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So, we occupy Afghanistan for several decades, killing tens of thousands of people, losing thousands and thousands of soldiers, spending trillions of dollars. Is Afghanistan better off now than before? No. In fact, we had already crippled Afghanistan decades prior by arming the Mujahideen. So they got a twofer, I suppose. The fact that the nation exists at all at this point is almost a miracle. Iraq. Well, we got to get rid of, we got to get rid of Saddam. He's an evil person. By the way, I saw a board game from the 1970s. It was about like evil people fighting each other or some shit. It was some obscure board game, and it actually had Saddam Hussein on the cover. It was pretty funny. And that was the 70s, I believe it was made, 76 or something like that. But removing him. Authoritarian? Yes. Evil? Arguably. Good person? No, absolutely not. Very brutal. But removing him collapsed the country. And then again, we spend trillions and trillions of dollars, and in Iraq's case, when Iraq is your most successful recent military endeavor, again, that's a really, really sad statement to make. My fear is that if we were to go into Venezuela, can we remove Maduro? We could get rid of him in a weekend, probably. It's not, I mean, but then you have to deal with the guerrilla movements. That's the problem. The problem is not the standard military there. We can crush them again within a couple of days. The Air Force is not capable of standing up to the kind of fighters we're using. Their Navy is not nearly as sophisticated as ours. They don't have the capability of fighting back. But that's just the central government. We saw the same thing in Iraq. The elite guards that Saddam had were crippled within a few days through shock and awe. They fled. They just went back home because they're like, fuck this shit. But then we ended up having to occupy this country for an extended period of time while being driven down by attrition, by, guerrilla attacks, partisans, and things like that. This can happen. Venezuela is about the size of Iraq. Actually, I believe it's a bit larger. It's also got more difficult terrain in certain parts of the country. And Maduro, and Chavez before him, armed a shit ton of militia. Hundreds of thousands of people are heavily armed in the country, and they are very much loyal. They also have survival skills and can disappear into the goddamn jungle, and it would become another Vietnam. So I would suggest go after the narco boats, attempt to undermine the regime, but let the Venezuelans handle that. It should not involve direct U.S. involvement because it would be unhelpful. If you want Venezuela to be liberated from communism and just go back to being a vague socialistic nation, which is basically what the what the opposition there would be doing, which is pointless too, at least you'd have an economy. You wouldn't be wiping your ass with the currency, I suppose. You'd actually have food. It might only be 2 meals a day, but it's better than 0 meals a day now, isn't it? If you want that to happen, you have to allow the Venezuelans to do it themselves. I suggest facilitating that. I've made the suggestion before. Give them a bunch of weapons and shit. That's all you have to do. If the militia that is communistic is heavily armed, well, then counter-arm. Sigil, kids died of AIDS? Gee, I wonder how they ended up infected. Probably the same mysterious way all those kids and dogs got monkeypox. That definitely played a role. Also, transfusions, the blood screen, there was no screening for AIDS in the blood supply. There were a number of people who got it through transfusion. Young Ace, young number 22, young Ace number 1. Ace God 666 on the 3 diabolical scumbags. Haha. Raising your children the satanic way. Top 5 Sticks, Hex, and Hammer video. I was watching it last night on the 3 guys. Interesting. By the way, let's get to our sponsors before we get to technically the last news story. I wanted to give an update on my literature briefly, and then we're going to get to some Grok hilarity, because I found that hysterical the other day. Oh, it was great. It's like, who would win in a fight? A baboon on one drug or a chimpanzee on a different drug? We'll have to have some animal matchups, because apparently this is going to become a new channel meme. And I like it, by the way. First and foremost, we have cultivated-mind.com, where you can get mushroom pills. They are good for you. They will increase vigor. They will increase focus. And then you have Doggy Dose, which I, again, will always call Doggo Dose because it's cuter, which dogs seem to like. That improves their coloring in their coat, makes them all nice and smooth and goofy, and also calms them down a little bit. Some doggos could really, really use Doggy Dose. It's made with 6 dual bioactivated mushroom extracts. This one's got, this is the brain squared. This one is lion's mane, cordyceps, reishi, butterfly pea flower extract, and ashwagandha. This one is the most effective for focus. Normally I take the radiant energy because it's the best for simply having energy. It's called that for a reason. Secondly, we have BiltongUSA.com. That is BiltongUSA.com, the home of Anton's unique imports. Also, his meat. Yeah, you can buy Anton's meat, believe it or not. Always. Wagyu, Angus, Cabanassi, venison, buffalo, pretty much everything under the sun. If it has 4 legs, it's probably been turned into biltong. And also, Sticks, Hex, and Hammer mugs, tumblers, and shirts are available. And finally, jamandbean.com. jamnbean.com. Clanker Blend Coffee. The finest coffee you'll probably ever have in your life. Just saying, I'm a little bit partial to it, and not simply because it's Clanker coffee. Also, lots and lots of other coffees and teas are available as well. Again, the Yunnan Jig is probably still my favorite, but I have to be in the mood to be caffeinated to drink it. Like today, again, I'm drinking more of the tisane, like the herbal tea, because I already had a bunch of caffeine. I had an energy drink this morning. What can I say? I wonder what would happen if you used like a standard drip filter and you put, the coffee in the filter system. And instead of using water, you used like an energy drink to soak it through. Man, that would be fucking, that would be caffeinated as hell. All of a sudden you go running down the street naked screaming, Yes, FB, Fauci's AZT tests and stuff like that, yes. Fauci was definitely involved with human research, including with COVID. A lot of that was sociological research when you think about it, because the entire thing was nothing more than a wall of propaganda and disinformation. It's funny that people who got banned for medical disinformation were the ones that were telling the truth the entire time. The irony is not lost on me, nor was it particularly surprising. Shung Manes. Think of the possibility with war with Venezuela. The Chinese can indirectly supply the Venezuelan army and guerrilla fighters, making it the new Vietnam. That's the other problem. It would bring us into direct blows with China. While we're distracted there, they probably take over Taiwan or something. Now, do I believe that it would be good if Venezuela were run by different people? Yes, I want what's best for the Venezuelan people too, but it's not my priority because I'm not Venezuelan, number one. And number two, I can see no meaningful way to actually achieve this without a war. And I am anti-war. This would be an adventuristic war. It's not a war of self-defense. Blowing these narco boats out of the ocean, that's defensive. Because they're coming to the United States with malevolent purposes. And it's not just narco trafficking, some of it's human trafficking too. And infiltration. But we can already take care of that. It's a lot cheaper, it's not an act of war, and Maduro can't really complain about it. It also makes him look weak. It makes him look pathetic. Oh, all my boats are being blown up. Well, who'd have thunk it? Why don't we just drop a couple bombs on a Venezuelan warship and call it a day instead of doing the land invasion thing? You know, teach them a fucking lesson and say calm down and then just, don't do anything further. The Venezuelan people are going to have to take back their country. The article is not fundamentally wrong. It's just that the methodology to achieve that otherwise noble goal would require mass slaughter, including of U.S. troops. We'd be putting our own people in harm's way. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. And also, that kind of warfare is becoming, in many cases, outdated in the age of drones anyway. A lot of these strikes, they're being conducted with drones. They're not being conducted in the more standard, old-school sense. What? Mike Josby. Bobby touched me in my no-no place. Hey, Bobby Bobbinson. I like Bobby. He's a good troll. It wouldn't be a normal day without at least one good troll showing up. It's funny that your name is Bobby. Are you the same Bobby that made the Wilbur Bretter memes back in the day? Don't call me tall. Trump does not hire children to work in his spas. He hires young women. But when you're in your 50s and 60s, you may refer to a 20-something woman as a girl. I know I do. I'm not even close to 50. That was what Trump was referring to. You're splitting hairs. Trust me, I'm a linguistics expert. I understand these things. Let's take some mushrooms. Just tell us. We love the Hexenhammers in Lincolnton, North Carolina. Yes, Mom and Dad, Hexenhammer too. I appreciate you very much. Now, you've been subscribed to the channel for a long time. TX47, I have done that with Coffee and Monster. Effective but nasty. Yeah, that's the sort of thing I think that, like, drunken college kids probably engage in. You know, running the Monster through instead of water in the drip filter. Sigil, Styx is closer to 50 than he is to 20. Correct. But I'm still, I wish I was, a little bit younger, but, everyone ages, everyone dies. Just happens. There's nothing you could do. Someday your body will decay into the ground, or be immolated and turned into ashes. I want mine to be used to fertilize my garden. I want chamomile grown on my corpse. Then I want people to eat the death chamomile because I think that would be brutal and cool. Man, that would be so brutal. Yeah. Darth Corn Pop. Regarding Fauci, people acting all shocked that the guy who did experiments with brain-eating parasites on puppies might be an evil bastard? Yeah, I know. When liberals still occasionally try to defend him, and that's ebbing away very quickly, it is funny to see them ignore that particular story. So, you're killing puppies, giving kids AIDS, and then crippling an entire generation socially while prescribing, things that make absolutely no sense and no reasonable person would think would be effective anyway. Now, what a great doctor. The day he dies, there will be celebrations. I can absolutely fucking guarantee you. I'll probably be one of the people celebrating too. Maybe I'll get some sparklers or something like that. I'll have a little cake that says "Screw you, Fauci" and put sparklers on it or something. I don't eat cake, but I'll serve it to people around me. Anyways, let's talk about my literature. Yes, indeed. I am currently writing a short story. Well, it's not that short. I think it's 20 pages already. And adding it as an addendum to Morbid Stories, which is now 15 pages away from completion. Actually, 14, technically. And it's a story about how communists came to the shore and they raided my vegetable garden. And then a bunch of people get together to go and take everything from the communists. And so we have to invade Commie Island. I am writing myself into this book, and this is the first time I believe that I've actually done that. So I'm Captain Tarl in this book. Yes, I'm a goddamn pirate. And we've got a group of YouTubers and podcasters and a few Nazis and fanatics actually aboard this ship. This is an old man that is selling his trawler for cheap, and so it gets armored up, and there are various references. This is a funny work. This isn't even particularly morbid. There's a lot of violence and blood and guts, and Rufus Rapscallion ends up raping a goat at one point. So there's a lot of bizarre, degenerate references, but it's mostly meant to be one long running meme. A giant squid is involved, among other things, but I'm not going to give you any spoilers about the plot, because I'm having so much goddamn fun writing it. I've come to the point where it's showdown time with the giant squid, we'll put it that way. I'm thinking about writing in more people. The Sigil's there, Copium Poppies is there, and so forth. Maybe I'll add others in there too. I always have to get permission before I can, put that into a literary work, because it's for profit, so, for legal reasons. Vulcus. Yes, Vulcus is in there too. Sticks, I want to give you a rum enema and suck it back out. I enjoy your gay references. Yeah, so this is absolutely fucking hysterical so far. I was laughing my ass off the other day. I was actually rereading part of the work because there was a couple of typos. So I'm trying to make this work perfect. This is Morbid Stories 2. So this is the final section of it, other than the Morbid haikus. And I think it'll probably go another 3 or 4 pages, so I'll probably complete them later. And then I think that I'm going to focus mainly on the Morbid haikus and expand that section, because that's pretty fun too. When you can compress an entire conceptualization into a 575 haiku format, that is much more difficult, but it is also quite fun. So I'm trying to expand that as well. Swanson. Okay. I'm getting a call. This may be important. Give me a second. If it's important, I'll take it. Well, if you hang up the fucking phone before I can take the call, then what the hell am I supposed to do? Sigil, Crapton, Tardy, Warwick. Don't worry, Sigil. You don't get killed by the squid in this. Actually, you kick ass. Copium, how many of our band members are in the story? It's just you, specifically. The Copium. Yeah, but I'm writing in, just various people. Here, Suze, I'll put you in the, in this last section as well. I mean, I would read you some of the story, but I kind of want it to be a surprise, because this is probably my favorite thing, other than maybe Nutty Norman, that I've ever written in my life. That or Sickness in Hell. So, yeah. Let me put that in. Alright, there we go. I'll put your username in there. I can only add so many people, though, because there can only be so many people in the crew, Bobby, Sticks, have you doxed your phone number? No, my phone number is private. Somebody else will probably do it at some point, but that's okay. Also, hopefully there's room down in storage for our bassist's retard cage. There's an oversized freezer that ends up full of human meat, and you should see what's going to happen to the giant squid. Well, the second one. Sigil, no, Tartle with an L. Copium Poppies, just us? You don't know which band member you are talking to on any given day. Oh, I just assumed it was a personal account. I didn't know it was literally for the whole band. Well, anyways, you've somehow gotten transmogrified into one person. Spider Eternal, you can write me in somewhere if you like. Okay, I can do that. Alright, but I can't add anyone else. You'll have to wait until the next episode of the Pirates vs. Communist saga. We'll figure out the plot in Morbid Stories 3, I guess. I mean, I just like writing. It's fun. It's hysterical. Alright, so I'm going to get Suz and Spider Eternal in there. And I don't have enough room in the trawler for anybody else because there's an assortment of other brigands that were aboard. Also, a bunch of animals. This is going to be hysterical. Shungman Ace. Sticks. Give me a cameo in the story where I'm a part of the crew. I get so drunk on grog, I cut bits of rope and use it as makeshift pocket pussy. Rope burn Ralph. Okay. Just one more. Rope burn Ralph. Alright. I mean, I'm just having fun at this point. The news cycle is a little bit sparse today, and it wasn't even terribly high quality. Rope burn. Jesus. What am I doing? Yeah, I've got 14 pages, roughly, left. Yes, Anton, King of Biltong. Yes, you do not participate in the battle, but you are a Biltong vendor in the book. You're gonna feature more heavily in the latter part of the book once the squid is dead. Again, you'll have to read it for yourself. I would read it like out loud, like do a dramatic reading of this story. Probably be a 2-hour video, but yeah. Copium. Yeah, none of us use social media personally. We only promote from our official account. Oh. Interesting. Frank Hannon, exactly 14 pages left? I believe it, yeah, I believe it's exactly 14. So, I can dedicate probably 4 or 5 more to the rest of the story, because I kind of want to wrap it up. It's meant to be a short story. I'll probably add a couple more sections from my broadsheet, which I use for the different sections. I literally had to cut an entire section out. I could have added it in, but I wanted the pirates and communist story, so I didn't have room. Not with the format that I've been using. Tatwis, you get it. As gay men, we say, oh, look at the boys. We're talking about college guys, but the freaks think we're child molesters. Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing with Trump. When a person who's 60 years old says a girl, that could be someone who's 35. By comparison, it's a fucking girl. Egbert Boot Whistle. What do you think about the big silver run-up? I like silver very much. Just saying. Yes, I offloaded some silver not that long ago. Somebody needed a little bit of aid, so to speak. So they got a little bit of plunder. This is made by a subscriber. And I love it, by the way. It's a doubloon. I think it's probably 2 ounces, I guess. Something like that. I don't know. I'm never going to get rid of it, so, you know. I'm not selling that. I'm sure that it'd be worth a pretty penny since it's solid silver, but, you know, when I get something from a subscriber, I'm extremely reluctant to liquidate it. King of Biltong! Premium Biltong from Biltong, USA. High protein, keto friendly, no additives. US sourced beef, authentic South African flavor. Get some now at www.biltongusa.com. Use code STICKS for 10% off. This is William Shatner signing off. Bust a move! Only probably one other person here will get that reference. Shungman Ace. I don't mind being in number 3 if there's no room. Oh no, I can work you into this one. Only fitting for the guy that manages the band The Unholy Trinity, Rope Burn Ralphs, by trying to fuck a shark that was caught. Sharks are involved in this story. Basically, it's just me. I'm just basically, it's a long, ranting, comedic story. It's meant to be more funny than anything else. So over the top that it becomes hysterical. Let's do some Maybe some Grok. Some Grok animal matchups or something. So yeah, update on my stories. The book is almost done. It's already within, 14 pages of being completed. I'll probably be able to get most of that done tonight, honestly. Usually in the evenings I write. After I'm done with this sort of thing, that's usually when I do my literature. It's a lot easier to edit than to write, usually. So it takes a little bit longer, and so it's taken a while to compile all of these stories. Also, I signed all the broadsheets. I don't know, maybe I'll send them to someone as a joke or something. Copium, William Shatner has AIDS, allegedly. The 7-star, send your piss jugs. What? I have absolutely no fucking clue what that refers to. Cole Olds, I believe it was Colonel Mustard. Yeah, apparently I'm selling piss jugs now. I was not aware of this. Be funny to do it as a joke, but, Let's ask Grok about, an animal matchup. Because we had so much fun doing it yesterday. Spider on. Let's see. Maybe a giant spider versus an eagle, but they're both on drugs. That's sort of the comedic foil here. The giant spider is on acid, and a bald eagle on methamphetamine. We'll see what Grok has to say in a moment. Copium, piss jugs are the way of the road, Sticks, way of the road. Yeah, I've never really had that problem. No, it's just piss out the window anyway. In the Netherlands, people just pull over and piss in the bushes. Spider, LSD field, size, giant. Let's say Shelob sized, 15 to foot leg span, hundreds of pounds. Drug, LSD. The spider is having the absolute worst or best trip of its life. Colors are screaming, time is a flat circle, and every strand of its web is now a galaxy. It's either paralyzed in hallucinatory awe, or in full I am the eight-legged god of chaos mode. Advantages, venom, webs, 8 legs for grappling, kite and armor, can climb anything. Disadvantages, on acid it might try to befriend the eagle or spend 20 minutes staring at its own shadow. Bald eagle, methamphetamine fueled. Size, normal bald eagle but absolutely wired, like a feathered missile with anger issues. Drug, meth. The bird is running on pure uncut rage and focus. Heart rate 400 beats per minute. Pupils like pinpricks, screaming the entire time. Advantages, flight. The spider can't follow it into the air. 6,000 plus PSI talon grip strength. Can crush skulls. Beak like a war crime. Meth-fueled stamina. This eagle will not stop until one of them is dead or has a heart attack. Disadvantages, small compared to the giant spider. One bad landing and it's wrapped in webs. What is the verdict? If the fight stays in the air, or the eagle keeps hit-and-run tactics, Meth Eagle wins through relentless aggression and the spider literally tripping too hard to fight back properly. If the spider ever pins the eagle once, Acid Spider wins. One bite or web cocoon and the eagle's done, no matter how much meth it snorted. Final call, bald eagle on methamphetamine wins 6 out of 10 times. I don't know, I just find this amusing. Shung Muddies. That's a good idea. Yeah, let's a diseased dolphin with syphilis. Or a diseased shark with AIDS. They're roughly the same size. They are both on PCP. Let's see what Grok has to say about that one. Copium sticks. Stop being so uncultured. It's a a trailer park boys reference. Never seen it actually. Yeah, let's see about that. I'm aware that sharks probably can't get AIDS, but, you know, it's hypothetical in this case. Diseased dolphin with syphilis versus diseased shark with AIDS. Both animals roughly the same size. Both terminally ill and both absolutely blasted out of their minds on PCP. This is no longer nature, this is a hate crime in the ocean. I like the sarcasm on Grok. It's better than most AI for this sort of funny sort of shit. Dolphin. Brain is Swiss cheese from advanced neurosyphilis. Hallucinations, paranoia, seizures, zero impulse control. With PCP, already one of the most violent animals when sober, now it's a 1,500-pound coked-up torpedo with a permanent erection and homicidal intent. Weapons, ram speed up to 35 miles per hour, can literally punch holes through boats. Hard beak for stabbing. Echolocation that's now just screaming sonar pings directly into the shark's brain. Intelligence, even while brain rotted and dusted, still smarter than 99% of animals. Downside, syphilis has probably destroyed its immune system and coordination. May randomly try to mate with the shark mid-fight. AIDS shark. Full-blown AIDS, hemorrhaging, organ failure, but still swimming because sharks are too angry to die. Oh my god. On PCP, Great White becomes a 1,500-pound chainsaw that feels no pain and sees nothing but red. Weapons, 300 serrated teeth, 50,000 years of evolution dedicated to turning things into red mist. Insane bite force. Cartilaginous skeleton means it can twist and thrash in ways bony animals can't. Lateral line senses blood and panic from a mile away. Downsides. AIDS means every cut it takes is basically a death sentence long term, but on PCP it will not care until next week. Verdict. The dolphin wins 5.5 out of 10, but nobody actually wins. Dolphin speed, running power, and ability to target weak points give it a slight edge in a straight-up brawl. Shark's raw durability and I am already dead energy keeps it in the fight way longer than biology allows. Both die within minutes of the fight ending. The dolphin from blood loss and neurological meltdown. The shark from full immune collapse the second the PCP wears off. The ocean is quieter afterward. Even the crabs won't touch the corpses. Oh, God. This is hysterical. Anyways, enough about that. Yeah. Jesus. We'll be doing more of that probably in Monday's live stream, but yeah. Honestly, I think that the shark would have been because, you know, once it bites the dolphin's head off, you know, it still dies, but, you know, because it's got AIDS. But Copium Poppies, orca with mesothelioma and not entitled to financial compensation versus healthy bottlenose dolphin. The orca would win that one. That one wouldn't be a proper matchup because the orca would be so much bigger. Don't think that a dolphin can actually damage an orca very well. Steven Nizik, Flipper would disagree. Dolphins over sharks. Cat versus octopus on meth. Something like that would be fun. We'll do one more, I guess. I got a little bit more time. But keep in mind it's a Friday, so I kind of want to conk out and do my literature in a little bit. It's fun! In a fight. We'll do Cat on Mushrooms. It's an infected mushroom reference. Good song. Heard it back when I was at UVM, actually. This is way, way long ago. Infected Mushroom is a very good band, by the way. Here, I'm going to modify this like a cat on psilocybin. You have to, you know, actually tell it what kind of mushrooms it's on. Of the same exercise on hashish. Winner, the cat on psilocybin mushrooms. In the most unhinged, biologically accurate breakdown possible. Cat on shrooms. Already a murderous apex predator in a 4 to 6 kilogram body, claws, teeth, explosive speed, and a brain wired to see movement and kill it. Psilocybin doesn't chill cats out like it does humans. It cranks their already glitchy neurology into pure cosmic terror and homicidal rage. We're talking full, I am the living embodiment of the Old Testament God and you are a demon mode. Hallucinations and predator instincts, a whirling blender of claws that perceives time in 16 dimensions and believes the octopus is an eldritch horror trying to drag its soul into the void. Will bite its own tail, thinking it's a snake, then immediately pivot and try to remove your face for the crime of existing. Octopus on hash. Octopuses are smart, but THC hits cephalopods weird. They get incredibly relaxed and contemplative. There are studies where octopuses on MDMA become super social, so a stoned octopus is probably just vibing, solving a Rubik's Cube in its head while questioning the nature of consciousness. Fight arms are great, but when you're baked on hash, those arms are mostly being used to hug a rock and ponder if it's actually its mother. Ink cloud? Yeah, it'll release one, then stare off with pretty colors for 6 minutes. Beak is deadly, but good luck landing it when the cat is moving at 29 miles per hour and screaming in ancient Sumerian. Sometimes Grok is a little bit odd. Verdict, Shroom Cat 10 out of 10, no contest. The octopus dies enlightened, but very, very dead. The cat wins, then spends the next 8 hours trying to fight God behind a dumpster. Oh my god. Okay, I'm beginning to really like Grok a lot. Copium poppies. Dolphin would be faster than mesothelioma orca. Let AI decide. We'll do that on Monday, because I'm going to go offline here in just a minute. Don't worry, we'll get to mesothelioma orca. We'll just dream up different drugs and diseases for different animals and match them up and see what Grok has to say about it. I have a feeling that this is probably going to be a day-to-day occurrence on the live streams. You ran out of news? Let's have some fun. What's life without fun? There are 2 things you need. Love? Well, 3. Love, money, and fun. That's all you need. Chung Mud Ace. The worst part of my band name is that when you search it up, you have to type Alt 0248 for the ooh. It's silent, just like in Blitzo. Battle of the Bands. Copium Poppies versus Unholy Trinity. Lynx Catnip versus Alligator on Crocodile. I have a feeling that the crocodile alligator is probably going to be able to take out the lynx, and I like cats a lot. Anyways, I am going to go offline and try to dream up more insane things to put in the Pirates versus Communists booklet. Keeping in mind, again, this is not the same as the rest of Morbid stories. It's meant more to be funny than to be just hideously grotesque. There was going to be a section called Macabre Manuscripts, which was meant to be like sad stuff, like people killing themselves and being emo and stuff like that, and being, you know, depressive and their lives are completely ruined and they just die in an alleyway. But I didn't have room for it. I'm going to have to carry over literally every entry from the entire section. I think there's 20 of them. I'm going to have to carry it over and make an entirely new section for the next Morbid stories. So, you know, at an average of 3 pages apiece with roughly 20 stories, that alone takes up a fairly decent amount of room. And then, of course, I might want to do Pirates versus Communists Part 2. Or maybe it'll be something like Vampires versus Werewolves or something like that. That'd be funny, too. Connect 200. You missed my super chat. My apologies. You said, I was surprised Elin Omar is 43. Yeah, she looks a lot older than that. Ha 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 ha. Beast mode, but how morbid? When you read the work, the first one is available. The 3rd edition of the first volume is already available. I put it on my books blog. It's pinned at the top on YouTube. on this live stream, and it's also a link in the description. You should get a copy. I mean, I had a great time writing that one as well. And this is the improved and expanded edition. I wanted to make it longer, and I also put it in a larger format, so it's massively longer than the original edition was. I added an entirely new section along with other things as well, and also proofread it a second time. Well, technically the third time. But you'll see morbidity. We're talking, there is nothing depraved. Imagine Marquis de Sade on steroids. That's basically how I am when I'm writing this sort of work. I like to think that this is actually worse than anything that Marquis de Sade ever penned. The whole idea is to make the reader uncomfortable. And to make them laugh. Depending on their personality. Personally, I read them and I laugh my ass off. One-man band. They're finally charging the No Kings protest shooter, Matthew Alder. Oh, interesting. Thank you for that. Safety volunteer charged in the fatal shooting of a Utah No Kings protester. Huh. Took 6 fucking months? Okay, that's definitely going into the docket for tomorrow. It's an interesting story. I'll have to make sure that I cover all the bases on that one. But yes, I'm gonna go offline now. And no kings. So yeah, I'm gonna go offline. I'm going to docket a little bit more news. Although I've got so much in the docket already, it's like fucking. I prefer to have more current news, so I prefer to use stories that are from the same day. But sometimes the docket gets so built up, it's like, what am I supposed to do? Make a 5,000-hour video just to talk about the news? And sit there and at some point, you know, you gotta go to sleep. Maybe I should do videos in bed. I'll just lay down in bed, all cozy in my blankie, and then I'll just make a 20-hour-long video or something like that there. That would be funny. That would be funny as hell. Yeah, a bed stream or something like that. And I'll be wearing pajamas too, so I'll look extra goofy. So yeah, I will be going offline here, and it will be funny because I've got to get some more news articles. Probably I'll only need like maybe 2 more based on the number of tabs that I've got open. Hell, technically, I don't need to docket anything new. I'll just wait until tomorrow and see what happens. Of course, anything can and does happen, so sometimes you have crazier news than other days. Today, interesting news, but it was sparse. There were only a couple of stories that were really particularly interesting, like with the USMCA. So, you know, we covered that and a few other things. Otherwise, it looks like we were just having animal fights on Grok. It was pretty funny. Don Aquila's channel, Sticks, we love you! And I love you all as well. That includes those of you that continuously troll me. Believe it or not, it's hysterical. So yeah, I'm going offline. This is William Shatner, signing off. That's about all.